So in the last video I went through some of the basics of the pen tool, anchor points, how to delete anchor points, the handles, and a few of the basics of drawing basic shapes using the pen tool. So in this one I'm kind of going to continue on with that and just show you how to use the pen tool to draw basic shapes and go through some of the more complex methods of using the pen tool. So uh, the first kind of example that I'm going to show you is how to actually draw basic shapes, and then I'll jump into some of the technicalities of drawing using the pen tool. So I'll just start off using the pen tool. So when you do select the pen tool, the icon obviously changes, and if you click using left click once, you can see that a line appears, and I'm not clicking anything, I'm just moving the mouse. You can see a line is activated. The blue line is what will appear on the artboard once you've clicked again. So in this instance, maybe I might draw like a rhombus. So I'm going to click. You can see the line has appeared. Click again. Click again. And click again. So you've got a closed rhombus shape here. You can see that the icon changed just before I closed the shape. When you draw a shape using the pen tool, if you click once, click again, and say maybe we'll just click a couple more times to close this path. Say for example you're done drawing using this pen tool, you can hit enter to end this, so you can see that we've stopped. If we start drawing again, you can also hit escape as well to stop drawing. But the way that I've practically done this, as someone that kind of does this fairly often, and I've designed logos, artwork, EDMs, you name it, the easiest way that I usually do is I hit the pen tool, I draw whatever I need, and then I'll hit V, or the selection tool. This way, if I need to move something quickly, I can quickly just adjust and do as I please, rather than doing something and then deselecting and then, I'm done. And then I've got to click into the tool and then move and then do that whole process all over again. So that way it does it a bit quickly. So I'm going to show you how to draw a basic shape. So again, we're just going to do maybe just a triangle, for example. We'll close that shape. Oh, there's a bit of an accent. Let me just do that again once more. It's kind of good practice. So I'll close that. Okay, so we've got a triangle. This shape is built out of anchor points. So again, if you are not happy with the shape, you can click on the anchor points with the direct selection tool and move these around. You can see that there's a handle activated because I kind of stuffed that one up. But yeah, if I'm not happy, I can move this and kind of move this. The shape is obviously white because I've got the fill there, so just keep that in mind. If I'm drawing maybe a curved shape, so this way it might be a bit more complicated. So for example, I'm going to just do like a small cloud. I'm going to draw this and just show you how this will kind of work. So I'll just freeform it. I'll click once and I'll click again and I'll draw out the handles of this anchor point. And I'll do it this way. This is very basic, just bear with me. And then I'll do it that way. Okay, so because I've drawn this, it's not perfect because it's not a perfect cloud, but you can see that the idea is there, but it's not perfect. The way to draw this a bit more accurately is usually between breaking an anchor point end or breaking a handle and actually moving the handles around to make this a bit more nicer. So I'll try this once again and I'll click here. I'll do like a curve And what I'll do is I'll hit the anchor point tool. Right? I'll hit the pen tool again, and I'll actually draw like a basic shape. Actually, start that one again. That was kind of crappy. So I'll draw a shape like a puffy cloud, and then what I'll do is I'll hit the anchor tool, and then I can restart drawing a shape without the, I guess, the awkwardness of this sort of these handles pushing the lines away from each other. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. I'll do this again. I'll hit the anchor tool, and then I'll kind of make it a bit more puffier, and then close that out. Okay, you can kind of see how it allows me to sort of bend the shape for it. It's a bit more sharper when I'm actually shaping out the cloud. This one's probably a bit more of a good example to go in once you've done. I'll zoom in again and select the anchor point using the direct selection tool, or use the anchor point tool so we can actually move the handle. So you can see that's what the handle does. It sharpens these out. And you can see that this handle here is not where I want it. So I can actually edit that and, you know, do what I would like with it. Because the positioning of this is not what I'm really after, I can use the direct selection tool again and kind of move them around as I wish. In this instance, maybe I'll keep it nice and cartoonish, but I'll move this around to make it a bit nicer. And then the same idea with this one. And I'm just editing the handles on this anchor point here. Yep. So you can see how the handles have allowed me to create that sharp edge here, and that's always using the anchor point tool. So just keep in mind that the anchor point tool deals directly with the path that you've drawn using the pen tool, and then the direct selection tool again just helps you move things around. It probably wasn't a great example, but hopefully that explains things a bit more easier. We'll try this once again. We'll just do a basic, maybe not a basic, we'll do a little bit more of a complicated cloud. So I'm just going to start clicking. I'm going to start drawing this cloud. So I'm going to draw this. I'm going to draw, maybe make a bigger one. I'll do a slightly bigger one again. Maybe make this a bit puffy. I'm closing the, I guess removing the anchor point at the end here to kind of start drawing again. And then I'll do that. I'll make a smaller one. And then I'll make a tiny one here. And then we can kind of, we'll make it puffy and then we'll kind of smooth it out. I'll just close that out for now. So that's the kind of shape that I've got. You can see that there's still that kind of looping issue because these are really close to each other, so that's what Illustrator kind of shows. You can see that the paths are overlapping. So I want to either use the anchor point tool or the direct selection tool because I'm not happy where this placement is. Because I'm just not happy how the path is overlapping, I'm going to use the anchor tool to click on this anchor and edit these paths or the handles themselves. Same with this one here. So you can see if I drag this out, that's what happens. But I'm going to close that and minus that anchor point. What I can do if I want that bumper to sort of come back, I can add an anchor and I can just click there and I can choose the anchor point tool again and kind of mess with this as I wish. If I'm not happy with its position, I can move this down and maybe make a nicer, smoother bump to really stylize the cloud. So you can see that sort of come together. With this one here as well, you can see that editing the handles can make that dip a bit sharper. So I'm just going to mess around with the actual handles here to smooth this out. If you do hold shift, for example, using the anchor point tool, again, you can see that I'm holding shift and I've dragged this out. Both of these anchors, all these handles, sorry, I can drag out and it'll allow me to kind of edit that space. If I don't like that, I'm just going to hit Control C and I'll hit the anchor point tool again, but I'll edit these additional anchors to sort of handles, sorry, to sort of edit that. If I'm just a word of advice, if I've got the anchor point tool and I'm going to select a path here, that will usually delete its curviness as well. To add its curviness back in, hold shift and click and drag this. I know it's a bit confusing, but just remember that anchor point tool and holding the shift modifier key allows you to sort of edit and screw around with this. Alright, so I don't like that curve, I'm going to hit it again and make it straight. So I don't like that, and I'm going to try this again. So there you go. So it's a bit more of a stylistic cloud. Say for example I want this dip to be a bit more nicer and maybe dip this one a bit more into the cloud. So I'm going to edit that as well. So I'll hit the direct selection tool and I'll move the location of this. But say for example maybe I don't want it to be as curvy here. So I'm going to hit the anchor point tool and edit it this way. There you go. I'll just undo that, sorry. And I'll mess with this handle here. With this sort of curve doesn't look great to me, so I'm just going to, sorry, I keep doing that by accident. I'm going to edit this a bit more and kind of smooth that out. Sorry. Kind of move this around to make it a bit nicer. No, I think I don't like its position, so I'll probably move it down a bit more. There you go. And then use that as well. You can use the hotkey, which is Shift C. It'll give you a good example as well. And now what I'll do is I'll move the handle. Yeah. There you go. I'll probably move that around to make it a bit nicer. I'll hit V and I'll zoom out. Yeah, I guess that will do as an example there. So you can kind of see how the anchor point tool allows you to kind of modify the anchors and adjust the handles of each anchor. So I'll just demonstrate once more. So if I hit the anchor point tool in a sharp edge situation here, so if I hit that, it will allow me to edit. It will break the path basically and allow me to edit the handles here. If I hold shift, I can also move this around, but I should be able to actually, drag out the handles here. I'm holding shift again, just to make that equal. I can also move the handles around freely, as you can see here. With this anchor tool here, anchor point, again, if you're not happy with how it's positioned, use the anchor point tool to move the actual the handles and the anchor point itself. If you're unhappy with the position, remember you can also use the direct selection tool to shift this around, but just keep in mind it's going to obviously edit the endpoints on the other anchor points that you've got labeled on that path. I'll show you one more thing. What I'll do is I'll try and show a demonstration on creating a object. So what I'll do is I'll place an image that I've downloaded from Adobe, and I'll actually add that in and kind of replicate what they've got here. So the way that I did that is go File, Place, and then it will allow me to draw an object. So this is just a basic bird illustration, and you can kind of draw this and replicate this using the pen tool. So the way that I'll do this is, again, I'll select the pen tool, but I'll remove the fill from the pen tool. So I've got a stroke here, and you know I'm just going to draw simple lines that are colored black. So I'll start with just drawing the basics of the outline of the bird, and I'll show you how this can work. Before I do that, I'll just lock this layer to make it a bit easier for me to trace. I'll just lock it there using the layers panel. I'll go into these panels in a separate video as well. Okay. Oh, actually I won't be able to. What I'll do is I'll lock this. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, sorry, it locked the whole background layer there. Alright, so we'll just start. I'll click here, I'll delete this anchor point here, and it will allow me to kind of start drawing again. So you can see how it's allowing me a bit more freedom. Because I'm constrained by the length of this handle, I'm going to remove that handle and then draw again. I don't like how this will allow me to make a bendy beak, so what I'm doing is I'll click that again, click, click. So you can see how this is making it really, really easy for me to replicate the object. And then I'll remove that again because that will look weird if I seal that shape off. I'll click this again and I'll close the object. Alright, so that makes it a bit more easy to replicate. I'll do the rest quite quickly just to demonstrate. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just replicate these shapes. I'll hit this and then I'll draw these shapes and I'll close off the shapes. So I'll do this again. You can see that it makes it a bit trickier when you're drawing shapes and then you've got another anchor point there. What I usually do is just do that, but what it will do is it will sometimes join those two shapes together, so you just have to be a bit more mindful how you draw two shapes near to each other. You can see that I don't want that curvy. You can see it's curvy. I'm going to hit the anchor point tool and just remove the need for that, I guess, curviness. Yeah, I can click and edit this with the anchor point tool as well. It's so powerful. It's a very powerful tool. What I'll also do is I'll do these two triangles for the beak. I'll just do it the very quick and dirty way. And I'll close that shape. And so on. So I'll close the shape here. And I'll do that again. Close that. You can obviously how it's slowly starting to come together. And I'll just do this shape here. I'll use the circle tool. I'll just draw the eye very quickly. I'll draw these two. And then I'll just use the pen tool again to just sort of draw that. You can click and drag out the handles to replicate the shapes, but I'll just kind of draw it as I see it. And then I'll edit it after. So I'll just do that. And I'll just pop that there. It's not going to be perfect, but just doing that just in case. And then anchor point tool. Sorry, not really liking the way that this is. This is a good example of adding an anchor point. So you can see that editing this won't allow me to do it nicely. So what I'm going to do is add an anchor point here. And you can see that there's an anchor point there, which I can now essentially move around. Alright. So what I'll do, I use the direct selection tool and I'll move this around to sort of suit what I want. I'll go back here and I'll smooth that out. You can see how that's kind of working to cater towards the curvature of the shape. And then with this one, yeah, we just can edit the handles and kind of move these around as you see fit as well. So yeah, it's a bit basic, and then we'll just close off the rest with the background there. So it's a nice way to sort of end it. So I'll drag that out. You can see it's nice and simple. I don't want that handle, it's going to be really weird. Hit that and go again. Hit here, here, and here. And then we'll turn this layer off just to kind of see what it kind of looks like. And then you've got your basic shape, which is here. So this will allow you to sort of recolor. So for example, you've got black, which is there. I'll show you how to color and do these in a separate video as well. I'm going to fill that with black. And then this, I think it was orange. So we're going to use the color picker, color pick that orange. I'll show you how to use that in another video also. I'll just go Control Shift Backspace and so on. So quite simple. You can see how the pen tool can kind of help you trace and create different objects using the pen tool, the anchor point tool, and using the actual handles of separate anchors. So say for example, I'm just, editing this after I've created a piece of artwork. I can go into each of these shapes. I don't like the way that it's the color sort of bleeding over the edge there, and I can actually edit this kind of however I wish also. So if I click this and I hold shift, this way I can bring out some handles. Okay, kind of make it a bit easier. If I'm not happy with it, obviously I can add more anchor points here to make it a bit more easier. So let's just say we'll add one here. There you go. And then we can probably move this around and make it a bit easier. With this, we can probably make this white. So you can see kind of how that is slowly starting to make a bit more sense. It's a bit rough, but hopefully it gives a better idea into using the pen tool to actually create something from scratch as well. So hopefully you found it a bit more useful. Yeah, let me know how it went.